a hearing of the Chatham Conservation Commission being held on January 28th, 2026, in accordance with the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Chatham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and Regulations. My name is Karen Latin, and I serve as the chair. Please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, including the use of AI note-taking apps, please notify the chair. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 28, 2025 signing of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GLC 30A, Section 20, until June 30th, 2027, this meeting of the Chatham Conservation Commission is being conducted in person. Whoops, I've lost my spot. And via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 286-294-187-3729, or join the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, Xfinity Channel 1072, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide real-time access. We'll post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. The agenda, instructions, and how to attend, and copies of the documents for review are posted on the town's website. To all participants, whether attending by phone or online, please remain muted unless you have been recognized by the chair. When recognized, please identify yourself for the record. If you're attending by phone, you can mute and unmute by using *6. If you are online and you are not a commissioner, please keep your camera turned off unless you've been recognized. Indicate that you wish to speak by using the raised hand feature. So that we have a record of a quorum, I will now ask each commissioner to indicate their presence. Vice Chair Paul Johnson.
Present.
Janet Williams is not present. Elise Gordon is not present. Eric Hilbert.
Present.
Bob Del Vecchio.
Present.
And I'm here. We've established we have a quorum. If there's anyone who would like to make any announcements, comments, or future agenda items for anything other than the properties on the agenda, please let me know now. Not seeing anybody here. Let me get in. And I'm not seeing any hands raised. Before we begin the agenda, Paul, are there any announcements of any requests for continuances today?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Yes, there are two requests for continuances. 155-157 Bridge Street will be continued to February 11th, 2026, and 53 Little Beach Road will be continued to May 13th, 2026.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
At this point, Paul Whiteman, Chatham's Conservation Agent, will now lead us through the agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First on the agenda is a requested order of conditions for 196 Shore Road. The applicant is John Swenson, map 16E, parcel 3, DEP number SE10-3754. The project is installation of a Title V pump chamber, force main, and generator within a buffer zone to a coastal bank, and this was continued from October 22nd, 2025, and then again on January 14th, 2026.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, David Clark on behalf of the Swensons. The only question I had, special conditions C7 through 9 deal with mitigation plantings and monitoring. We're not proposing anything, but Bob did ask if we could put some plantings around the generator, which we agreed to. So if that constitutes mitigation, those conditions should stay in, but it's entirely up to you.
Okay, and that's in section C?
Yeah.
I'm getting there.
And 7 through 9 deal with.
Yeah, ongoing invasive management, and you're
Yeah.
not doing any of that, correct?
Yeah.
I'll take that out. shall notify when mitigation plants are installed, mitigation plantings, except otherwise described. So those
I
go
guess
out.
that one could stay in because we are going to put some plantings around the generator.
Okay. All right.
That's
I
it.
will remove the couple and then nothing else?
That's it.
Okay. Do any commissioners, go ahead, Bob.
Special condition 13, where it identifies the plantings. Appropriate number of bollards and native shrubs will be placed around, it should be around the generators and pump controls, correct?
Yeah,
A little bit of a typo
says
there.
R1.
And I just wanted to see if we could put some inkberry evergreens around those to kind of soften, to try to screen those items. So I was thinking of like 7 inkberry shrubs.
I think that's appropriate.
That's, okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, that's it?
That's it, thank you.
Okay. I don't see anybody with any other concerns online. So I think we are ready for a motion.
I move that we close the hearing on 196 Shore Road and approve the order of conditions as modified.
Second.
Okay. Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I say aye. All right. Next one, please, Paul.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the agenda is a request for a field change, and the address is 155, 157 Bridge Street. The applicant's Eastward Companies, map 15B, parcel 1B, DEP number SE10 3452. The project is a demo of 2 existing dwellings and a pool, reconstruct both dwellings, and a field change request is to change the orientation of the pools and reconfigure the patio area. The applicant's requested a continuance to February 11th.
Okay. If we could have a motion, please.
I move that we continue 155, 157 Bridge Street to the meeting on February 11th, 2026.
Second.
Okay, Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I say aye. All right. And the next, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the agenda is a request to amend an order of conditions. This is a Phase 2. 552 Shore Road is the address. The applicant is Francisco Scatone and Judith Gibbons, map 16G, parcel 16T3, DEP number SE10 3750. The project is residential additions and mitigation plantings. Amendment is to include the after-the-fact tree cutting and vegetation management within the coastal bank. As I said, it's a Phase 2.
Good evening. For the record, Raul Lizardi from Cape and Islands Engineering, and with me, Catherine Higgins from Bartlett Tree Experts. Also joining us online is Michael Ford and John Barker from the design team and the attorney for this project. A brief history of this application. Last year, the current owners purchased the property in June of 2025. Pretty soon after that, they engaged with some architectural consultants to propose some improvements to the existing house. And several other consultants were involved, including ourselves as the engineers and surveyors and Bartlett Tree Experts to review the site. During the application for the notice of intent for the additions to the house, the rest of the consulting team acknowledged that prior ownership on the property has done some mismanagement of vegetation on the bank and within the buffer zones. We brought that up to the attention of the Conservation Department, and we were upfront when we filed the original notice of intent for this application. There was a meeting with this commission, and there was a permit that was asked of the applicant to correct and mitigate for the past actions and the mismanagement of vegetation. The original order condition included some landscaping, planting management, and increases in footprint to the house, and included some mitigation planting, roughly 360 square feet of mitigation plantings. This project that we're amending now, we're enlarging the proposed mitigation and restoration. Bartlett Tree Services went to the site and did a count of what number of trees were damaged and the number of invasives. Because in addition to the mismanagement of vegetation that was happening on the property, there was
You can continue.
there was also a lot of invasive plants that were recognized when the survey was being done. So the restoration that we're doing is not just to restore and mitigate for the cutting that happened, but also to manage those invasive species that were encountered. So the project is now being amended to account for a couple of things. We want to mitigate for the mismanagement of vegetation. We also want to reduce the width of the existing path to the beach. Now, the existing path is roughly averaging about 9 feet in width, but it varies from about 5 feet to about 14 feet in width currently. We want to keep it at that width while we do this management and this vegetation restoration plan, because we need that width to get in and out to the areas that are affected. Once we remove all the equipment that we're going to be using on site, the path is going to be reduced in width to 4 feet, and the edges to make it 4 feet is going to be planted with native species. That additional planting is over 1,000 square feet of native species. We're also reducing the amount of lawn that is in the 0 to 50-foot buffer zone by over 500 square feet. That reduction in lawn is going to be replaced with native plantings. We're also removing 2 kind of hedges of rugosa rose and a few massive shrubs that are used on the property, and replacing those same areas with native plantings, and that's over 1,000 square feet. So in all, we are improving the natural vegetation within the 0 to 50 buffer and enhancing the vegetation within the coastal bank. And I will just pass it over to Catherine to briefly explain more in detail what they found on site.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, as Raul was describing, to present a comprehensive ecological restoration plan for this coastal bank. The project is designed to remediate historic unauthorized pruning conducted by a previous homeowner, as Raul mentioned, and more broadly to restore and strengthen the native plant community across 61,000 square feet, or just about 1.4 acres of the coastal bank and associated buffer zones. As we detailed in our land management plan, the conditions across this area vary significantly. You have some portions of the bank that are supporting healthy native vegetation with minimal invasive pressure, while others have been heavily overtaken by invasive species. So our work is really focused primarily on those impacted areas with the most amount of invasive species, and that's approximately 30,000 square feet, and that's on that blown up plan on our mitigation plan. That's really that area of the hatched areas, that 30,000 square feet, where the invasive plants are actively outcompeting the native vegetation. So the goals of our project are to address the impacts of the historic unauthorized tree pruning, to remove invasive and non-native plant species, and to restore the site with native trees, shrubs, and herbaceous species to stabilize and really strengthen the plant community existing. So as Raul mentioned, to inform this plan, we had 2 Bartlett arborists spend 4 full days on the bank conducting a detailed ecological assessment. They completed a comprehensive tree inventory documenting the species, size, location, and health of each tree, while also mapping out areas of invasive plant concentration and areas where native plant vegetation remains intact. We got down to like blueberry shrubs, like individual shrubs. So state-listed invasive species, there's 11 total that we identified. They include knotweed, garlic mustard, mugwort, Asiatic bittersweet, Norway maple, autumn olive, sycamore maple, Japanese barberry, vine honeysuckle, shrub honeysuckle, and multiflora rose. There are also 2 existing species on the bank, privet and porcelainberry, that are state listed as likely invasive. And then in contrast, you have these intact native areas containing shrubs such as arrowwood viburnum, blueberry, bayberry, Carolina rose, bearberry, withrod viburnum, as well as ferns, goldenrod, and some native grasses. We also collected baseline soil samples and locations on the bank, and our lab in North Carolina tested the soil and we're proposing soil testing over time to ensure that plantings are well matched to site conditions and have the best chance for long-term success. So turning to the inventory results, if you look at page 3 in our land management plan, that really summarizes our findings. Within jurisdiction, if you look at that top left pie diagram, there was 249 trees inventoried, and 157 of those are native, 71 were invasive species, and 21 were non-native species. And then if you dive into that dark green area of native species, within that zone, 91 are alive trees in varying states of health, but they're alive. 49 are dead trees with no evidence of historic pruning. 17 are dead and do show signs of historic pruning. And I think that's important to point out that, yes, there were 17 dead trees showing signs of historic pruning, and there's also 49 dead trees on the bank just because of the condition of the bank and the age of the woodland. It is really those 17 dead native trees that our mitigation plan directly addresses. We conducted the same analysis. This is on page 3 of the land management plan.
Yeah, it's the
It's-
land management, and it's the little circle diagrams. Yeah,
Keep going up. A little farther. There
there you go. There it is.
So then on the right-hand side, we're showing the saplings that we inventoried. And out of the saplings, 74 were native and 288 were invasive or non-native. So that really means that 79.6% of the saplings on this bank are non-native and invasive species, primarily Norway maple, sycamore maple, Norway spruce, and white poplar. This is really concerning for the long term on this bank because over time these saplings will mature, they'll suppress native regeneration, and create conditions that favor invasive monocultures like shrub honeysuckle and knotweed that are already here. If nothing's done on this bank, invasive species will continue to outcompete the native species, and the result will be a further compromised habitat available for wildlife. So the good news is that despite these pressures, there's still extraordinarily exceptional pockets of native biodiversity present on this bank. Page 4 and 5, I think it's the next 2 pages, oops, sorry. They show an area thriving with native ferns, withrod viburnum, which you don't see that often in woodlands around here, and extensive stands of whitewood aster carpeting the ground. The whitewood aster, I couldn't believe it when I saw it growing out there this summer. It's just literally carpeting areas of this bank. It was really awesome to see. So to address our approach is really just to protect that and expand those areas of really nice native diversity. So to address the invasive species, we propose targeted management within the approximately 30,000 square feet shown on the mitigation plan and on the diagram on page 7. Yep, right there. Removal will be conducted through selective cut and treat methods performed manually and with limited use of small tract equipment, primarily from the top of the bank and the existing beach access path. And those dark green areas are where the invasive plants are basically 100% dominating the area. And that corresponds with the mitigation plan the area on our mitigation plan. Once invasives are successfully managed, these areas will be restored with the native species on the mitigation plan. And then in addition to that, the land management plan also outlines woodland management activities to address the historic pruning that occurred. So that really begins on page 8. And on page 9, it details, really get into certain specific conditions that we found on the bank of tree pruning and how we're gonna propose to address them. So on page 9, you'll see we're talking about previously flush cut or close to flush cut to the ground, primarily oaks. There's a couple cherries, but so we're proposing to continue managing them in that way by coppicing, which promotes vigorous regrowth and biomass. And then we continue on page 10. There are, yeah, right there. Conditions where it's primarily pitch pine and oak that have been topped and left like that, growing high. The pitch pines are dead. And so we're approaching that in two ways. We'd like to retain some of those as snags for wildlife. The size of this area in woodland management practices, you would leave about 3 to 5 dead pitch pines as snags. We'd cut them down to about 10 to 15 feet in height and allow them to decay in place. We would prioritize any trees that have visible cavities or crevices for nesting. And then the remaining dead top trees, which is about 9, we're proposing to flush cut them to the ground and leave large sections of the cut wood in place on the ground to decay and decompose naturally. Regarding the topped oaks, there's 3 cherries that were topped and about 19 oaks that were topped. We would propose to flush cut them, and we detail that in that on that page. Flush cut them and allow them to regenerate. In addition, there are 3 dead pitch pines near human activity. They're shown on our mitigation plan in red on that top left plan. And they're in areas near human activity that pose a safety hazard. There's pictures of those on page 11 in the land management plan also, where really you can see where large limbs have already fallen onto the lawn. So we would like to just cut them down, and we could also leave them in the naturalized area, large chunks of those, the wood to decay there too. There's also 1 mature white pine in severe decline with no live canopy growth, and there's active turpentine beetle infestation. We are proposing to remove that. And to mitigate for that, we're planting 4 tupelo trees. So in summary, really, we approach the historic pruning practices by maintaining and supporting healthy coppice regrowth, retaining dead wood and snags for habitat, encouraging regeneration of native trees to grow back up, and replacing dead native trees through the planting of new trees. And as you can see on our mitigation plan, we're proposing to plant 54 trees, including the 4 tupelo I mentioned, 15 eastern red cedar, 8 service berry, 11 pitch pine, and 16 scrub oaks. The scrub oaks in particular that will be planted will be grown from acorns that we harvested last year on site. We harvested them in late summer, early fall. And there's some exceptional scrub oaks on this bank, and they do really well, so we decided to harvest the acorns so that what we plant is site-specific using the local genotype on the bank, and we're growing them out in preparation to plant them as shown on our plan. We're also we're proposing to plant 200 native shrubs, including black chokeberry, New Jersey tea, sweet ferns, sheep laurel, northern bayberry, beach plum, and Carolina rose, along with hundreds of native grasses and forbs. Beyond providing new opportunities for food, cover, and nesting habitat for pollinators, birds, and other wildlife, the deep root systems of the grasses, in particular, all the native plants, but really the grasses in particular, will significantly improve stormwater infiltration on the site. And just to kind of close, this project is intentionally beyond just replacing trees. The invasive species pressure is arguably the most primary threat on this bank, and the goal of the project is to establish a stratified native plant community with trees, shrubs, and the herbaceous layer working together throughout that entire 1.4 acres. The proposal takes a comprehensive, long-term approach to restoring the integrity of the bank, and we believe it represents a responsible and effective path forward for this property. Thanks.
And something I would like to add, we did see the messages or correspondence from abutting neighbors. There were some comments about whether the project can remove existing fallen trees and leaning trees onto the beach. When we looked at those photographs that the neighbors provided, those fallen trees and leaning trees are beyond the property bounds of this project. So we cannot kind of encompass removing of trees or leaning trees that are not on this property. But anything that is leaning or already fallen within this property, within the beachfront of this property, we can probably just remove them, leave them as snags on the banks and buffer zones. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, anything? And then I will read the abutter emails.
I just have a couple things. This is quite an endeavor here. It's great. Why can't we just leave all the pines that are that's snags there? I
We
mean,
could-
They don't really hurt anything, and, you know, they're great for birds. And what if someone wants to make a new nest, you know, so?
Yep. We could, there are some that are pretty degraded that are along that pathway that, down to the beach, so I would definitely would love to remove those and place, but, we're talking about 3 to 5 remaining snags.
How many total are there?
So, 9, so, let's see. There's probably about 20.
And then minus the ones on the path?
They're concentrated along the path, so there's probably like 8 along the path.
So you can, you can probably leave maybe an extra, you can leave 15, I
You could
would
do
think.
that.
I mean, it
Just cut them
doesn't really, they
down.
don't really hurt anything. They
No.
don't block the sun and
Right.
what have you. And so the other thing I have is there's a huge compost and brush pile on the side there. You know, that's a good starting place for, especially knotweed, when you leave that stuff for a long time. Is there any plan to remove that? It's gonna be quite a job. I mean, that's been
Yeah.
going on for probably 30 years.
What if we just managed, like included that in the invasive plant management section? So if there was not,
Or maybe
that's a
just
good
take the
point.
curse off it, not necessarily excavate it right down to the bare ground, but
And I'm sure there's critters and chipmunks and stuff using that area, and
That's
also,
true.
yeah, so we talked about it, and I actually was the one that said that's a viable habitat as it is, because it is really old, decaying.
well, I agree with you. And there's no invasives popping out of it, and
We can take a look, and if there was anything like knotweed
Yeah.
popping out, we would definitely grab it.
okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else? Bob?
I got a few questions. Hi, Katrine, how
Hi.
are you?
Good, thanks.
Along the path down to the water, it's pretty eroded. I know you have some stairs that are going in, some steps that are going in. Are you going to be doing anything with that area just to try to prevent the erosion?
So I can take on that. So because we're using the existing path to access all of these points that we're going to be working on, those stairs are going to be completely demolished. So we're going to be replacing those stairs.
Right.
And the sides, well, the width of the path is going to be reduced to 4 feet. So all the planting that we're going to be doing is going to be also accounting for improving on that erosion that has happened. Now, this path, we have looked at record drawings from early 1900s, and apparently this path has been in existence for this long. So hopefully with this work that we are doing and the planting that we're going to be proposing along these edges, we're going to check off most of that runoff that is currently just channelized down the existing path. The replacement of the at-grade steps will also improve that condition and not kind of continue concentrating all the water in those locations.
Can you add more at-grade steps from time to time along the center portion of the path, just to slow down the erosion, just to slow down the water?
So I get what you're suggesting. So it's like on farmlands that they do those intermediate steps to slow runoff. The middle section of this path is fairly level enough, but a couple of steps intermediate would kind of discourage water from continue to rush, and provide like a somewhat little dam along the way. So we can include that. The proposed mitigation that we increased by over 1,500 square feet will more than compensate the requirement of 3 times, 1 or 2 of those additional steps, but we could add a couple more intermediate steps.
Okay, thank you. Also, the natives are situated more so down below, correct, where the human activity hasn't really occurred?
Correct.
Unfortunately, you probably have a lot of invasives because of the human activity up top, towards the top of the bank.
That's where they're focused, yep.
Unfortunately, it's a shame what was done, but to rectify it, I think it's a great plan, and I applaud what you're doing here for the environment as well, and for the wildlife too. As far as the view goes from the building, are you going to be planting more of the smaller plants within the view corridor?
Correct.
And more of the trees on the sides? Is that the story?
Right, and then farther down on the bank.
Farther down? So as they would grow, no one's going to hopefully cut them down again?
Correct.
Well, we'll put something saying that they can't
Right,
without coming back to us.
yeah. I think that's all I had now, but I think it's a great project. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I have two abutter letters emails that I have to read in. My wife and I are the owners of an abutting lot at 448 Old Harbor Road. I'm also the managing trustee of the Old Harbor Homeowners Association, comprised of 4 lots on shared driveway and beach at 444, 446, 448, and 450 Old Harbor Road, north of the proposed project. We extend a warm welcome to the new neighbors and express our support for their project, with the request that it also address the removal of fallen and nearly downed dead trees currently laying on or overhanging the beach within the project area. Please see the attached photo for reference. Similar to the beaches on our property and the associations, we and our neighbors use the shoreline below the high water mark for activities like boating, fishing, and accessing the fish pier. However, the downed trees and those near fallen now obstruct this access or pose a safety risk of falling onto people or washing into the harbor. While leaving the stumps might help preserve the bank, it would be best to remove the rest of the downed and overhanging trees to ensure the safety and enjoyment of everyone. Thank you, Michael J. Riley. And then the second one is, I am in butter at 594 Shore Road to the north of the subject property and am writing in support of the restoration/mitigation proposal prepared by Bartlett Tree. That said, the proposal does not specifically mention the removal of the trees that have fallen onto the beach or those that are dead or dying and leaning over the beach. I ask that consideration be given to requiring removal of these trees in the project area, both for the safety of those walking the beach and for keeping fallen tree limbs from getting into Aunt Lydia Cove and becoming a hazard to navigation. And that's from George Shane at 594 Shore Road. So, and I believe you've already pretty much addressed those concerns. So I just wanted to put those into the record. At this point, does anybody have anything else, or do you have anything else you want to say?
Yeah, could you, just to follow up on the 2 letters, can you explain about the fallen trees again?
So yes,
The
well,
land?
if you could bring back up the site plan.
Yeah, one second.
You looking for the picture? It's the first abutter, I think.
The property line along the toe of the bank there is odd, and those trees fall out of the property, just based on the property line.
But did the trees originate from the property?
No.
So,
Well, then it's not your responsibility
You
then.
guys stay at the mic, unfortunately. There is a pointer.
yeah, when you see where the existing path reaches the edge of the of the beach, the property only has about 30 feet of beach at that point before it hits the property line. And the pictures from the abutters show a couple of one fallen tree completely on the
Right.
beach, which does block pedestrian access. And it's about some 80 feet north of the existing path. So it's beyond the applicant's property. And there's another one leaning that is somewhere midway between that also happens to be just outside the property. But if there's any others, because we did see in our own photograph, within 10 feet of the path entering the beach, there is another small shrub that's also completely dead and on the beach. That one is on the subject property's beach area. So that one can definitely be removed from the beach. And any other one that is slightly to the south, where there is a little more beach frontage on this property, those can also be removed. But those that are beyond our property, our client's ownership, we cannot agree to
Right.
to invading that property to remove them.
Thank you.
But if you just adopt a condition that says those that are within the beach frontage to be removed, then the applicant can absolutely accept that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have anything else? Okay, I think we can do a motion to send this to an amended order. Is there a particular meeting that you would like this ordered?
And the next available meeting will be fine with us.
Okay, that's February 11th. So if we could have a motion to go to do an AOC.
I move that we continue 552 Shore Road to an amended order of conditions for the meeting on February 11th, 2026.
Second.
All right, Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I say aye. All right,
Thank
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 you.
you.
All right, then next, please, Paul.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the agenda is a submitted request for a determination of applicability. The address is 650 Orleans Road. The applicant's Meta M. Hutchings Trust, map 12J, parcel 15-7, R-261. Project is installation of a Title V subsurface sewage disposal system, including decommissioning of old cesspool. This is a new application.
Good afternoon, David Clark, Clark Engineering. So as stated, this is an upgrade of cesspools to a Title V system. The system itself is in compliance with Title V and Town of Chatham's Board of Health regulations. The portions of the project that are within your jurisdiction, the existing cesspools have to be pumped and filled. And then we have to do some trenching around the water side of the house to redirect all that piping to a pump chamber, which will then pump up to the leach field. No trees within your jurisdiction have to come out. I think where the septic tank and the pump chamber are going, or I think it's all English ivy in there. So certainly, when they go to restore the area, everything will be loamed and seeded with a native fescue mix. So, that's the extent of the project.
Great, thank you. All right, any commissioners, any questions, comments?
Yeah, that was definitely a throwback going there. That was a stomping ground back in the day, you know?
They've been on the property for over 70 years.
I know it.
And
Wow.
she's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice for her. No comments, questions? Do we know what negative it is? Okay,
I move that we approve the request for determination of applicability with a -2 determination for 650 Orleans Road.
Second.
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Paul, the next, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next on the agenda is a notice of intent application. The address is 98 Oyster Pond Furlong Road. Stephen A. and H. Haley G. Nadas, map 13E, parcel 29-11A, DEP number SE 103682. Construction of a beach access catwalk. This project was continued from, May 8th in the year of our Lord 2024.
Exactly. So, given the amount of time, could you kind of go over it all again, please?
Yes, I'm happy to do that. I'm Bob Perry, Cape Cod Engineering. Been working at 98 Oyster Pond Furlong since, as Paul referenced, May 2024. It's a proposed catwalk, 14 feet long with a aluminum ladder that would then, sort of a ship's ladder that would go down to the edge of the marsh. That's another 9 feet. There were a number of things going on at the property that the applicants were busy with, and people being busy and the zoning process, I think, just being over busy. It's taken till early 2026 to get to the zoning board, and there were things that the applicant was dealing with and postponed an aggressive approach to this permit process. So in late May, I have the dates in the letter that we provided to you. May 22nd, 24, we went to the Shellfish Committee. Shellfish Committee requested a revision to shorten the facility so that it wouldn't interfere with their dragging their hardware across the sand flat. So we made that revision. And we agreed and wanted to return to Shellfish when that revision was made. But in the interim, we went to the South Coast Harbor Planning Committee for their review. They discussed it, and I think the ship's ladder is, close to what they might have been focusing on. We then returned to the Shellfish Committee in December of ~24, when we presented the revision to them. So then, a period of inactivity occurred, and Attorney Litchfield took this application to the Zoning Board of Appeals early this month. And the review concluded with a special permit grant. And if I put this project very simply, there was an existing access at the bottom of the stairs. Over the years, the marsh was trampled. There was a wooden, kind of a rudimentary wood Moby mat rolled out. And in discussing this activity with the owners and their understanding of the predecessor entitled activities, there was routine traversing of the marsh. The applicants keep a mooring. They have a small pram, very lightweight. I've actually put it in the water there myself. And rather than have all the users drag the pram and their foot traffic through the marsh, their preference was to see about a practical walkway that's defined in the zoning laws in Chatham as a catwalk, because it doesn't extend seaward of the high tide line. So there's a railing on one side that provides a safe platform 3 feet wide, 4 feet above the marsh, and the pram can simply be pulled alongside both ways. It's certainly the case that people will be standing there at the bottom of that little bulkhead. There's a marine wall there, and they'll lift the pram back up. They won't be leaving it on the marsh. So the essence of the proposal is the performance standards relating to protection of salt marsh were elevated 4 feet above the marsh at a maximum height of the ground. So the clearance gets a little better as you go outward. And it is intended to preserve the marsh from the traffic. It's seasonal, and like many seasonal docks that are from a time past in Chatham, the posts would be fitted to stubs that would be in the ground, where the new posts each year would simply be inserted and pinned. It's braced so it can't fall down. So it's a sturdy but small, minimal-sized walkway to get to the sand flat. Designed exactly like seasonal piers that I've dealt with in Pleasant Bay for decades now. It's just very small. So we've provided the details, and since you've seen it, we had that one revision. So that's our summary, if that's any help. So thank you.
It is, thank you. Just an FYI, and I know, a lot of what delayed this was you hadn't applied to ZBA, and hence why we now won't hear a property until there is an application with ZBA. And we are also going to start to deal with continuances and the number of them, and find a cap on the number because of
I-
properties like this.
I agree with you, and
That have gone on forever.
And although I intended to do this at the end, let me extend my personal and professional thanks to your staff, Crystal Keon, for
Yes, she's wonderful.
not just her willingness to accommodate our, continuances, but her ability to remind us, and I appreciate it.
Yes, we all appreciate her. Okay. Is there a reason that I'm seeing somebody on a screen? And I'm not sure why. Is there anybody online who would like to speak? If so, please raise your hand. You see, who is that?
He's just observing.
I know, but he's not supposed to have the camera on. So,
There you go.
okay. Okay, good. All right. Anybody have anything else that they,
Yeah, I just wanted to say in support of this, I've worked for this family for many, many years, and it is used, and they've had to put boards across the best they could to get there, so to get to, to launch their little boat out, and this is a big improvement, and I think it's at least a little sunlight underneath rather than boards on the ground. There's another path that I don't think it's ever used much. They have another access.
That's 100. The other,
Well, the family owns both properties. So I never see that one used. What's your plan on that one? Just to,
well, presently it's shared. This is to be shared.
oh, okay.
They're sensitive to your interests, and there's one that is, for their time at this moment, enough.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
anybody else? Bob, do you have anything?
Got a couple of things, Bob, if you don't mind.
Not at all. I'm here for you.
Okay. Are you going to be taking before and after pictures?
Well, that's certainly, if it's required, absolutely, yes. Right now, you have nothing there. When it goes up for the first time, we can document that.
Sure. And you say the marsh has a little bit of an existing path through it. Is there any way that could be planted?
Well, the Moby Mat wooden slat item is still in place. When I staked this out for the ZBA, and I knew those stakes would hopefully persist for this review, that I noticed that the thing is still there. I don't think it's going to need replanting. It's a Spartina mix of it's mostly alterniflora. There's a lot of groundwater breaking out, and it would recover quickly if you take that off of it. You see low marsh grow in quite well.
And that will be taken off once this is put in?
Yes.
Yeah. The sleeves that you have in the ground, will those be capped during the off-season?
I think you're raising a good point. I think it's very practical to do that. Keep things from collecting in them. It just closes it as a box. It's going to be at grade, and I don't think there's an objection to capping those at all.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. Paul, do you have anything else? No. Okay, I think we can go to an order. How soon do you need this?
You're busy, and we're not going to build it this week or in February, from what I can tell. So whatever works for you on schedule is fine.
Why don't we do it for the 25th of February,
That's fine.
okay? So if we could have a motion for that, please.
I move that we continue 98 Oyster Point Pond Furlong to the meeting on February 25th, 2026 for an order of conditions.
Second.
Bob?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye. Thank you.
Thank you all for your time and patience and consideration.
All right, Paul, the next, please.
Next on the agenda is 53, this is a notice of intent, continue on. 53 Little Beach Road, Monomoy Rips LLC, map 16A, parcel H50, DEP number SC 103747. Project was demolish existing dwelling and reconstruct new dwelling within land subject to coastal storm flowage. It was continued from July 9th, 2025, January 14th, 2026, and the applicants requested a continuance to May 7th, 2026. Excuse me,
Which-
May 13th, I apologize.
Yes, will have to be May 13th.
May 13th, right.
I just have a question. They withdrew from ZBA.
Yes,
Last week, I think.
correct.
And from what I understand, they have to come back with a whole new plan.
I
So,
don't know what took place there, only that they decided to withdraw based on the feedback they got from the ZBA.
and the ZBA felt that it would be an all-new plan. So my only concern is that we're just continued. So hopefully, I don't know when they're seeing ZBA again. I don't think that was established. So I would say that maybe if they, May 13th comes and haven't been heard by ZBA or whatever the circumstance, that maybe we also recommend that they withdraw.
Good.
Having said that, we can go straight to a motion.
I move that we continue 53 Little Beach Road to the meeting on May 13th, 2026.
Second.
Bob?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, the next, please, Paul.
I'll read these two together. if you-
Please.
Okay. Next on the agenda is a notice of intent for 61 Lippemans Lane. The applicant is 61 Lippemans Lane LLC, map 16C, parcel 36-14, DEP number SC 103758. Project is replace old hardscape, add stepping stones, remove some invasive plants, plant native species, and renovate weedy areas with fine fescue. 63 Lippmans Way is Ellen Downing Gould Living Trust, map 16C, parcel 36-4, SC 103759, new plantings and hardscape for a single-family home within the buffer zone to a salt marsh and within a flood zone. This was continued from February 14th. Both were from February 14th, 2026.
Thank you, Paul.
Welcome.
Bob Perry, again, Cape Cod Engineering. I'm beginning to just take a little bit more of a front and center role. Sophia Pilling of Sweet Fern Gardening, Sean Farrell Schumacher, Landscaping Design, and they've done this project, but because we've run into some technical issues, there was a few questions at the last meeting, and I just want to recap my understanding of that. The essence of this project is to try to not formalize, but to organize and clean up that area. There were about 3 to 4 issues that came up. The first thing I want to say is that through discussions, I think with Paul early on, that Sophia had, their efforts to coordinate with me to guide them through the process, because you don't see Sweet Fern before you that often, and maybe you do with the Schumacher group, but there was a set of areas down here, mostly on 63, that had a lot of crushed shells and buried slates. And when the plan was presented to you, the mitigation calculation was based upon the proposal of individual stepping stones, as if there had never been any stepping stones there. They just weren't quantified for purposes of giving you the existing site coverage, because it was just they thought, it would just be understood that it was really not quantifiable. You could have, but it would have been a very stylized calculation for something that was syrupy and very unkempt. So the mitigation component would be generous because they weren't deducting. So the site coverage as proposed as a net change would be lower if they counted those. So I wanted to mention that. But the thing I addressed were several. We've revised the plan. We've taken area off the proposed patio. It was 133 square feet. It is now proposed at 159. But it's a completely different design than the patio that's there, which is shoulder to shoulder, edge to edge slate on a sand base. Stepping stones were reduced by 10 or 15.
Yeah, half in some areas when you're looking down the.
You have to speak into the mic and identify
Yeah,
yourself,
almost in
please.
half if you look on to the right of the screen in that area there, we cut that number about in half.
So the issue about mitigation, again, comes to the fore because the number they gave me for a stepping stone is 3.75 square feet. But in talking with Sean, when they're finally installed, they're going to be between 2.5 and 3.75. But we generously, conservatively, simply use 3.75 to calculate for mitigation. So there's another rounding up that benefits conservation interests. So to describe the site, very dense, very anachronistic. You don't build places like this on the water anymore, and they're very, old 1890 cottages. It's just unbelievably tight and close. 63 particularly has a discrete pathway that they get to the house via a pathway along the eastern border, which has developed wearing ground areas within the pathway. And the stepping stones were proposed to reduce the amount of footwear on the ground and allow grass to grow where it can grow and a foot to go down on the stepping stone where it would go down. And that was the intent. So without going into tons of detail, we did have a photograph on page 2 that shows the worn path. And then I mentioned the project purpose was intended to provide an improved natural salt-tolerant ground cover in an area where there was both existing grass, but another location where there was just scattered aggregates of shells and in a velocity event, it's still an AE zone, but that stuff would just go flying, and it does scatter every time you have a flood. And it was intended to provide protective, non-buoyant stepping stones instead of any kind of a boardwalk system that would prevent wearing down to the pathways and subsequent erosion through repetitive passage through those narrow aisles. And then the question came up about stepping stones and the impermeable nature of them. And in that meeting we had a couple weeks ago, the question came to me about, well, how much is a stepping stone going to contribute to an impermeable condition? And I would have to say that in a rainstorm, you're going to see water land on that stepping stone. It's going to flow out to the perimeter. It's going to soak into the ground. Yes, it contributes to impermeability, but a rainstorm is not a harmful effect here. It's flat. It's the coastal flood that we're addressing. And in short order, a stepping stone will allow seepage through the mineral soil below it. But in a coastal flood, it's almost incalculable that everything becomes saturated as soon as you get 6 inches of water, or as in this case, 6 feet of water. The stepping stones don't matter. But the good news is they don't float, and they are very low profile, so they do not direct water, and they presumably in an AE zone will not move. So the balance was that the stepping stones improve the ground condition against erosive forces. It improves the interest for storm damage prevention and flood control and sedimentation control. And that is all you can say about it. It's a plus from an environmental protection and support of wetland interests. And then we turn to the patio, and there was I think, a fair discussion about the increase of the surface area by 26 square feet now. It's less, I think it was 36 to 40 before. And I believe we made the comment that, well, we could improve the permeability of this, and maybe it's a wash. And so I asked Sean, who actually mentioned his creation of a aggregate base for a driveway that he did in Provincetown. He sent me the detail, we put it on the plan, and then I tried to do some approximations for calculating something that's random and not fully predictable, like the spaces between these stepping stones on the patio. So instead of having rectangular edge-to-edge slates with, I think, a high degree of impermeability, the proposed patio, while it's rectangular, has 1.5 to 2 inch gaps between the tumbled slates, and those will have porous aggregate in them, but even better, below it, on the right-hand side, lower side of the page, we have the aggregate base, which is highly permeable. So when you have this flood condition, water will flow rapidly underneath the patio and continue to infiltrate. So the calculation we made of 8% to 10% gaps in the patio surface is for a 26 square foot increase is about a 50% give back. But it's actually much bigger than that because we have a substructure in the patio that pretty much makes the entire patio permeable. And so we felt that for a comfortable sitting area on a very small site, that 2-foot bump out that goes toward the east, away from the salt marsh, would be acceptable because the permeability of the patio has been expanded tremendously. So that's what I was asked to speak to, and I think I've covered it. And I hope I didn't bore you too much, but I appreciate you giving us a chance to defend the project. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any commissioners, any?
Every property is different. And this little property is, I personally don't have a problem with stepping stones or little enlargement of the patio. The property really isn't contiguous with anything but a seawall and asphalt ramp on the other side. So it's a small little property and it's all sand and I'm sure it'll drain. I was hoping that the patio wouldn't be rough myself, but I don't have a problem with this project. Thanks.
Bob?
Yeah, I'm sold on the patio installation, the way you describe it, with the pore space below and with the high infiltration rate that the stone will give it. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with the patio at all. And I, like Eric, I agree with him on the stepping stones. I don't think it's an issue. I mean, I think, it's not like they're going into the ground, they're just laying on the surface. So that's my feeling on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul, do you have anything?
I just appreciate the work you did in trying to revise that. You did the best you could, and it looks good to me.
I just have a couple things. The other patio, where it says replace existing patio, is that going to be done in the same manner?
Exactly.
You want to do it that way?
Okay.
We didn't consider it because we weren't changing it.
Yeah, I just want to
Yeah, I
know.
would absolutely do it in the same manner for the same sensitivities that we're trying to address with the permeable base.
Great. And it did come up last time about the stepping stones, and the joints for the stones, I had down a 1/4 inch, or is it 3/8, or
The joints between the patio stones themselves?
the stepping stones that, I think it was the pathways. We were talking about how much space would be between them, and it was requested by somebody that the size of the stepping stones be decreased.
Sure. At this point, if you look to the far right, the way that they're spaced out, it's almost kind of in every other step. There's a
Okay.
footfall on a stepping stone. Tighter, obviously, in the areas between 61 and the garage, which is the main way back there, they're spaced about 21 inches from the center of one to the next. So
Okay.
you end up with an irregular gap based on the nature of the stone, but you end up with several inches of space in between.
We'll just add it into we want to add it into the findings, this is why I'm asking.
Paul, did you
Particular-
scroll down to get to the bottom of that page?
Sure.
I want to see if it's on there.
Right, and then in the detail, as far as the patios themselves.
I saw the
we're still
patio
talking-
detail.
To the right, there's a little speck on that patio
Yeah.
surface and the subbase.
You're
So
talking
just-
about leaving 1.5 to 2 inches between the patio
Right.
stones
If you
themselves.
scroll
Right,
to the
I
right,
got that.
Paul,
I was
we'll
just
get it.
addressing the other part, which,
Thank you.
someone
Oh,
last
Go the other
time.
way. There we are. There it is. You've got the specs of the stone sizes, and
but that's for the patio,
that's the patio. What were you getting at? I'm sorry.
the stepping stones.
Oh, I think they're just,
Right, much larger in the.
Yeah, and somebody hit last time, and I can't remember who, asked that the size of the stepping stones maybe be decreased, so I was asking if that was happening.
Sure, as Bob mentioned earlier, we're using this average
Okay,
3.75 square feet, which is about 18 inches by 30 inches, as sort of an average. Let's consider that the largest stone that would go down. In reality, we're buying a regular material, so
okay.
they'll be anywhere from,
And what
2
is the
square feet.
material?
it's bluestone.
Okay, it is. Okay, I just wanted to make sure still.
Yep.
All right. I think we can send this to an order, both of these. I'm just trying to evaluate. How about, we already have two for, I think we could do the 11th February if you really wanted it, or else 1 and 1, the 11th and 25th, or 2 on the 25th.
Whichever's good, if you want to do the first meeting.
nice, 11th.
Sure. 11.
Okay. So both of them, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, if we could have a motion for February 11th.
I move that we continue 61 and 63 LF Emmets Lane to the meeting on February 11th, 2026 for an order of conditions.
Second.
Bob?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right.
Okay, Paul, the next, please.
Next on the agenda, Madam Chair, is a notice of intent for 14 Main Street. Chatham Beach Club and Tennis Club is the applicant, map 16B, parcel 73, DEP number SE 103757. Remove and replace retaining walls within the buffer zone, replace retaining walls and a boardwalk within a coastal dune. This was continued from January 14th, 2026.
Good afternoon, David Clark again on Clark Engineering on behalf of the club. The way we left this last time, we were waiting for a comment letter from Natural Heritage. You've received that, and they recognize that a portion of this property is within habitat of endangered bird species, and so they don't have a problem with the project so long as their conditions are incorporated into your order of conditions. And basically, I think that's just a timeline where they don't want any activity out on the beach itself. I think April 1st through, what was the exact time? Yeah, August 31st. And they specifically say that's seaward of the existing revetment and basically having to do with the boardwalk installation. So we're fine with those additional conditions. There is an issue with one of, it's not an outstanding order at this point because the commission did issue a certificate of compliance, but that was lost and was never recorded, and we're asking for a replacement. And Bradford did an inspection, and I believe he's going to report, or Paul's going to report,
Yep.
that the boardwalk, as it is today, doesn't match the permitting plan from, I think, from 1989. It is at grade, it's not an elevated boardwalk, and it was conditioned that it was seasonal to be removed every year. And I think I stated at the last meeting that that was the case, that there was only one or two instances in looking at the Google Earth images that it wasn't there during the wintertime. So we'll be happy to add additional conditions to this application regarding the boardwalk being removed. And also, Janet had brought it up, and Bradford also noticed it too, about the old snow fence out there. All those posts need to be removed, and any remnants of the wooden slats too. Given Natural Heritage's timeline, when that boardwalk goes in and out every year has to be, obviously before April 1st is their starting date of no activity out there. And certainly anytime after August 31st, because the club usually closes Labor Day weekend anyways, except for special events. So anytime in the fall
Okay.
would be appropriate for its removal.
You submit a plan, David, or
Pardon me?
you have a plan, or?
I don't think we got anything new
No.
this time.
Okay. All right.
Although, which brings me to, you were going to take the vernal pool off the plan. So we do need a new plan.
Well, we show it as probable.
Yeah.
Because your regulations state that it's presumed to be a vernal
Okay.
pool until evidence is presented, so.
And then we had said that the debris should come out,
Yep.
which I think included the snow fence
Yep.
posts. Looking to see. Of course, the walkway seasonal. Anybody have anything else? Any questions, comments?
No, you brought up the snow fence, which is good, out in the outer beach.
Bob?
Yeah, we walked down there and to the east end of the deck on the building is an area that's really worn away by the walkway. Do you know what I'm talking about, David?
On the upper level,
Yeah.
there's a patch of sand there. That's been there for a long, long time.
Yeah, why is it bare? Why?
I have no idea.
Did you take a picture of that? No? I'm
I
trying-
do have a picture. I don't know if it was submitted, because,
All right.
Maybe it's a sandbox for the kids when they come.
Yeah,
or shoes.
Yeah, I'll skip it.
Because they can't use the beach. I don't think it was included in
I
what
don't
we
it,
have.
no. I saw it when I went out there, but Bradford.
Yeah. Unless,
Looks very old,
Yeah, the gutter pipe there is getting exposed.
yeah.
I'm just wondering whether they could plant that area. It looks like the soil has been eroded from the walkway itself, so there's like a dip down. So I'm thinking there's some kind of erosion going off this water coming off the sidewalk and down into that area. I know it's a minor thing, but
well, and they already had said they'd plant native grasses. So maybe, would that work? in that spot?
Yeah, I mean, if,
Now that you've made your comments, I don't think it's the same area that I have in my mind as being a bare spot. There's a bare spot at the top of that slope, almost adjacent to the revetment, that's about 100 square feet, that's just all sand.
Yes, that's right.
It's right off the building.
Yeah,
But there's no walkway, it's just lawn, and then.
then there's a patch of sand, yeah.
Well, if it's not in the original, if this is not part of the discussion, I don't.
Well, maybe we can.
It does have a walkway, it has a cement walkway, so it's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's off of that.
yeah, there.
So
yeah,
it's east of it.
Yes, yeah, it's right below.
Yeah,
yeah.
down in here.
That's been there since that's been there a long
I mean,
time.
That patch of sand, yeah.
They do have a landscape crew lined up to do the work on the little short wall out by the revetment. I can ask them if they can put some
Something.
beach grass plugs in there. That's probably the most appropriate thing.
Yeah.
That'd be
being it's
nice.
so
They'll need a
close to-
little fill because the pipe is exposed going through there from the gutter that's running to maybe a dry well or something, I don't know.
Maybe add some topsoil and some beach grass, or some sand and some beach grass. And I just wanted to ask, who would be the main contact person for the issues that we've raised with the beach, which the snow, the sand fence, all the fence that's out there and everything else, and
That would
is there
be-
anybody in charge over there that?
Yeah, on the notice of intent, Noah Fleischman is the contact person for
Okay.
corporation, so to speak.
So he
So
would,
he's the
he would
local-
be the person that is responsible for all the fencing and all that stuff out
He
there?
is the designated representative of
Yeah.
the club.
I don't know, maybe even if you just mention that, it's imperative that, the areas out there, don't lose focus,
When Bradford emailed me yesterday regarding, reminding me of the snow fence, I sent an email off to Noah saying it's really a club safety issue.
Yes.
Because it's one thing that when it's exposed, but when it's a couple inches below, that's when it's a danger.
It's a danger to wildlife too, so, anyway, thank you, that's all I have.
Anything else? Then I think we can go to order. Let's do it for does the 25th work? Or do you need it really?
We're up against that April 1st.
I know. All right.
For the handwork, for that little bit of work out by the revetment, that's the only issue.
All right, we'll get it done. The 11th.
I move that we continue 14 Main Street to the meeting on February 11th, 2026 for an order of conditions.
Second,
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Paul, the next, please.
And we're getting there. Next on the agenda,
We are.
Madam Chair, is 67 Wilkie Way. Wilkie Way 67 Nominee Trust is the owner. Map 17D, parcel F13, DEP number SE10 3762. Construction of a swimming pool, patio, porch, step extension within a buffer zone of a coastal bank. This is a new application. Is that what you wanted up there?
Yep, that'll work. Yeah, thank you. David Clark, Clark Engineering on behalf of the trust. So this is a proposed pool and patio within the 50 to 100-foot buffer to coastal bank, which is basically a rock revetment. The pool and patio was proposed within an existing lawn area that was part of the permitted redevelopment of this property almost 20 years ago now, I think. It feels like 20 years. It's an outstanding order for work on this property. None of that work was ever done, and later on in the agenda is a request to issue a certificate of compliance for that work. But as far as mitigation, with the new patio, they don't need the sunken patio that's close to the 50-foot no disturb zone line. That's going to be removed. Additional mitigation required for the 747 square foot increase in the 1,500. All that mitigation is shown on the plan prepared by Executive Landscaping.
Executive.
Yeah, thank you. And Kyle's, I don't know if Kyle's online or not, but from Executive, but I think everything on that plan is pretty straightforward. They're 100% natives and filling in that area, the southeast corner of the property, with lawn removal, and it does not require any zoning relief. It complies with setbacks from both the floodplain and the property line, so as far as zoning is concerned, all they need to get is a building permit. And the reason why it's positioned in that location, it's really the only area on the property where sitting at the pool side, you can see the water. On the north side, we have the parking area and turning area into the garage. We can't move it any further back from the bank because that's where the leach field is for the septic, and we're right at the 20-foot setback minimum from that leach field.
Anybody want to start? Go ahead.
I don't have a problem. The only problem I have is just the placement of the mitigation. I'm not a big fan of, when you use a mitigation to put it off to the side like that. I just think the mitigation should be along the, the top of bank, north to south, more than stuck over there. It looks more like a planting bed between the neighbors and by the pool than a mitigation project, Just not a big fan of that.
Anybody else? I have to say, I do agree with Eric on that. I do like to see it a little more spread out and kind of, I get that they want to be able to see the water, but,
You can use smaller plants.
oh, you said that?
Well, I mean, and there's no tree replacements, right? It's just mitigation. They're all small anyway. They're like, when they put them in, they're like 1-gallon pots. Takes 10 years to, I don't think.
Yeah, I think part of the design process was they followed the previous mitigation plan that was approved by the commission. One thing to note, that second reason for the location is to improve the corridor along that side of the property. To the west of this property, they're westerly abutter on Wilkie Way is the Chatham Conservation Foundation, and there's an isolated wetland on that property. So I think the idea was to build up a wildlife corridor on one side.
Yeah, but it's just a path, right? I mean, next to it, isn't it just a neighborhood path that goes to a little sitting area that's sand? I mean, it doesn't really,
Not shown on here, is it?
it's not really bordering anything.
Well, it provides a vegetated cover from the revetment down the property line towards that wetland that's in the back. I don't think increasing the buffer to a rock revetment helps wildlife in any way, in that there's no obligate species using that area.
That's true.
If it was a natural bank, you might have some obligate species in there, but it's a rock revetment.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's just a rock revetment, so I'm open to it.
Anybody, anything else? Bob?
Couple
Go ahead.
things. How about the foundation plants along the building between the 50 and 100, David?
They're not proposing any, in that part of the project is add one more step, or I think it's 2 steps, to the steps coming off the patio or the front porches or the waterside porches. So there's no foundation plantings along there. It goes right to lawn. So they're not proposing it.
Even where the existing patio is and off to the southeast?
Oh, so for the one that's being removed, they'll fill
Oh,
that with topsoil
Yeah,
and seed it with,
there's another one, though. It says existing patio, and then...
oh, the square one is staying.
Yes,
Yeah, and that's a lawn all the way around it.
Okay.
We're going to keep that.
okay. Maybe if we just had something in the order, if they did add plants, they'd have to talk to the agent.
And be 100% native, understood. Yeah.
Okay.
And just one other thing, the current lawn, is it existing, just Cape Cod lawn, or is it irrigated?
I think it's irrigated.
It was pretty long when we were there, and,
Yeah. I think it is irrigated in that the house that was there before this one had been there for 50-something years, and it was all lawn from the house to the top of the revetment.
okay. And you have some trees in the mitigation to compensate for the Japanese black pine that's being removed?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, that's all, Thank you.
Paul, anything? Okay. I think this, given there are a lot of questions, and we will add into the order that if any foundation plants are proposed, that they would have to get approval of the agents. I think we can go to an order. Any chance we could, how quickly? I'm hoping maybe March 11th. And I'm sure you probably don't want that. I guess I could do the 25th. The 11th is now got 5 orders.
And then the 25th, I guess.
Okay, I appreciate it.
I move that we continue 67 Wilkie Way to the meeting on February 25th, 2026 for an order of conditions.
Second.
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I say aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Paul, next.
Next on the agenda is a notice of intent for 55 Sears Point Road is the location. Ann B. Popkin, trustee, Chatham Revocable Trust, map 11A1, parcel X2, the EP number 37, I don't have the whole thing. Reconstruction of existing flat-faced revetment into a rough-face revetment. Design, repositioning the northwest corner of the existing revetment, which has been experiencing significant storm erosion. This is a new application. I can bring it up here in a second.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Bill Riley on behalf of Ann Popkin and Susan Kahn, the owners of 55 Sears Point Road. We've retained Mark to repair the return where we're having some erosion on the revetment. So, Mark, go ahead.
Thank you. Yes, Mark Burgess, Surfront Consulting. So this revetment's been here since the 60s, we were told. As we've seen, there's some scarping erosion on the east end where it tapers off into the grade. This is very common, where the revetment is there, it doesn't erode, where it isn't, it does, and now it's flanked behind. So instead of bringing it or keeping the revetment back where it is, we're going to work with the land and take those stones and move them against the slope. Now, there might be some additional stones needed to reconstruct it and that return. But they're basically, we're just going to move the stones and wrap it around the existing slope. Depending on the condition of the site, if the erosion and on the slope that we're going up against is already sloped, then the revetment can be laid up against that slope. If by some chance there's a storm and the slope is vertical, then the contractor would add a little bit of fill to create that slope to lay the rocks against. We anticipate, it's a 35-foot repair, and when we're done, all of the revetment will be above mean high water. There's a small portion of it right now that mean high water just touches, and that will not be the case when we're done. We're rebuilding the rock elevation to elevation 6 in that location. It's tapered down from elevation 8, which is adjacent as you go. So the rocks start at elevation 6. As you go west, there's a section that's elevation 8, and then the vast majority of the revetment is elevation 10. We'll have 2 rows of fiber rolls above the rocks, filled and planted. No work on the exclusive use area or abutting property is proposed at all. And that's the immediate part of the project, phase 1, that those repairs need to be done as soon as we can. The second part of the project, I suggested, say, look, if the revetment, the other part of it, 260 feet, needs any kind of work, why don't we include it in the permit now? And that way, if it does, we're already cleared to do it. So that's a phase 2, but there's no intention of doing that work at the moment. And when we get to the 3 years, we'll reassess. Or if something, if Mother Nature takes a turn, and we'll deal with it then. Sorry? It's only a question of time. I just speak briefly about the 260-foot rebuild. So this is a what we call a smooth-faced revetment. And with those, they're not the design that we use nowadays. We use a rough face. So the smooth face, the stones are flat, and the water can run right up the stones. The rough face, the stones are put points out, so the waves have to hit the points, and it disperses more energy, results in less run-up. So the revetment functions better that way. As far as rebuilding it, it's only 8 feet tall. So with a large enough excavator, you should be able to do all this from the top. The contractor hasn't been chosen yet. So somebody's probably going to ask, well, what if, right? If it has to be done from the beach, they would just cut a portion of the rocks out, drive down to the beach. Now, there's at least 10 feet of marsh between the marsh edge and the toe stones. Plus, they would take apart the revetment within its own footprint and just work backwards. So there is plenty of room if a piece of equipment had to be on the beach, and we would inform you of that, certainly if that was the case. But we're anticipating it that it should all be done from the top. The revetment would be reconstructed to its existing height of elevation 10. Again, there's a section over on the far right that's at elevation 8. That would be raised to 10 and then tapered down to the repair area at elevation 6. So you get new toe stones, bedding stone, secondary stone, primary stones, and a gravel top apron. The revetment's 8 feet high and about 15 feet wide. So there's plenty of room to work within it or above it without disturbing anything around any of the marsh or any of the other sensitive areas. Teresa, in her narrative, I'm going to paraphrase, and Keith is here to explain, but any damage to the existing buffer, I'll let him explain how they're going to handle that, but obviously it all gets restored to its current condition.
Good afternoon, Keith Johnson, Blue Flax Design. Talking about the access through the mitigation area. It's about a 10-foot wide by 60 foot, so 600 square feet. There's currently about 17 plants, native shrubs in that area that will be transplanted. We're going to heal them in and then replant them once the work is completed. That's about all I have to add for the plants.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Commissioners, anything?
There's some,
What?
Catherine sent me some notes.
Okay.
I don't think she's able to get on.
Who sent the notes?
Catherine?
Catherine Ricks.
Coastal Resource Director. I'm going to do my best to read her scribbling here. What will occur to the revetment on the property to the west? I think you already answered that, but
Say that again, please?
she wanted to know what will occur to the revetment on the property to the west. Mean low water.
Well, since we have no plans on doing any work,
There's Catherine. I don't have to read this.
Oh,
oh,
Yeah.
she is?
Yay.
I'm not understanding the question.
Catherine,
Yeah.
right now, the only work we're going to be doing is on the return. Mark, out of an abundance of caution, thought that there should be some filing in case some other part of the revetment fails in the 3-year period. Personally, I think that's unlikely. It's not exactly a high wave environment. And we just have some, being flanked on the end. We'll repair that, and hopefully that'll be the end of it for many years. So we plan on doing nothing on the west end. So we really haven't thought about, how we would treat that.
We just
So
it's all
the
been repaired in
full
place.
revetment reconstruction then probably shouldn't be included in this order of conditions if you haven't fully thought about that extension, just because if you were going to rebuild the 260 feet within the 3 years, I would think you'd really want to consider what's going to happen to that other piece of it.
You mean well,
Yeah.
hold on a second.
Because the property line, it goes beyond the property line on the west side there.
Oh, well, we're only proposing.
So I just,
We're only proposing to do any work on this property. If they would just match up against the stones that are there, not going to the other property. You can knit the revetment back into place when you rebuild it so that it still is one structure, but we're not proposing to do any
I
work.
didn't know
on-
if you had, I didn't know if you had contacted them, if anything, within that time period, since you did kind of discuss which I agree, going to the rough-faced instead of the flat-faced revetment is a good idea.
No, they would have to file a separate filing for that then if they chose to do work on that property. So I'd still
Okay.
like to include it as a caution, but yeah, we're not going to do any work on anybody else's property.
Okay, then I guess another question, since you did comment that you would, if it scarps anymore, you would add fill to that. I would caution on that just because there's a great distance between the house. There's over 100 feet between the dwelling and that extension of the taper and kind of the 45-degree return there that you are going to work on.
Right.
I don't think any fill would really need to be put into the bank. I would think you'd want to maybe even cut back instead of trying to push it out further.
Yep, that is an
There.
option, yes.
Yeah, that'd be
That's okay.
acceptable.
Yeah, that's okay.
And is it tapering down the whole way? Because you said from 8 feet to 6 feet, but is it going to taper all the way down, or are you just going to end it at a 6-foot height?
It's a good question. We always try to taper a little bit on the end, but it's not going to be like a long, drawn-out taper because we want the protection to extend. But yeah, he should stack it like stone by stone by stone by stone to taper up to
And
the 6 feet.
Any thought on that, but also maybe a fiber roll, like going along that bank at the end, just going from the hard to the softer solution to the bank?
I think about that, but what's going to happen is the fiber rolls are exposed to more wave energy, which is why you need the rocks. And then the fiber rolls go away and you end up with the same situation we're trying to correct.
They can be a little more of a buffer at the end there, especially since it would be at the end into the bank there. Just something to consider.
We could certainly taper it down. That's not a problem.
Yep. And then one other thought on these cross sections, it kind of shows a 1 to 1.5 or 2. Is it going to be a 1 to 1.5, or is it going to be a 1 to 2?
You see what I drew?
I mean, I would like the 1 to 2. It says both.
Oh, I see 1.5 to 2. We prefer 1.5. So if he has to.
With it being so far from the house, and to really slope it so you have less wave energy going up and less wave energy reflecting, the 2 is a little bit of a better slope on that.
Yeah, in either
I
case.
mean, there is a lot of room. There's over 100 feet to the
Right,
dwelling, so.
right. So in either case, you would have to cut the slope back to create the proper slope. And if you
Correct.
want it to be 1.5 to 1 firm, then that's okay too.
And I think the other, I just looked at this quickly, so I was trying to go through, but yeah, I think those were my main concerns on this. And I do think that if you're just doing that taper, it should be able to be done from above. I don't think you'll really need any machines on the beach.
Hope so, correct. Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Go ahead, Paul.
So am I correct in assuming that the first phase of this is just 35 feet?
Correct.
On the east?
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
So I also have comments from Janet, and I have some pretty much the same as what Catherine said, which was the slope. I think we'd really rather have it be 2 to 1, just so you know, an opinion. And I love that it's the rough surface. I'm thrilled over that because I do think that's much better. Then I'm a little concerned about phase 2, because you're asking us to approve a larger area without a plan or anything. I think if anything, I would say if you want us to include it, you're still going to have to come back to us with a plan and, let us hear it. I don't think it can be done just saying, oh, go ahead, because we don't have a plan for it.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, our principal concern right now
Is the 35 feet,
is the 35 feet so we can stop the erosion that's going on.
right, which has been going for a long time, so we're thrilled over that part.
Right, so the
Section A is that part of the plan. It's on the plan. So Section AA is the section through the existing staircase on 260 feet. So that shows you in that area how the rest of it would be done.
But you don't know what part of that section you might have to do. And so, yes, we see that there are 2 sections, but, I just think if we're putting this into an order for all of it, I think we'd like more detail before you did that section, because you're not giving us as much detail about the work.
We can amend it to include it later or whatever. We were assuming that if any part of that wall gets damaged, then the prudent thing is to just rebuild the whole thing. So that's why we have one detail that covers the whole 260 feet.
Well,
If that's too much, then
I think the concern of the commission is understandable. My own concern would be what other conditions might change in the time period between now and 3 years from now that would require modifications of the plan. I think if we can stick right now with the repair, we have Mark's plan. So if we do have to do work in the future, we have a design. We might have to modify it based on whatever conditions exist at that time. But I think the property owners would be happy just to get the repair done on the Enscower.
Oh, no, I get that. Catherine, how do you feel about including phase 2 in with the 35 feet and maybe what we would put in an order, like asking for more detail or, do you have any concerns? Would you have anything that you'd want to see?
Well, a couple concerns. I don't know exactly what the date is on the full plan, but edge of salt marsh is 2019 on that plan. So I think that would need to be updated. And then just, I would like to know more of how it would key into the property on the west, or what would happen to that property on the west. Or how it, or if tapering down, because you're going up a little bit, so tapering down, just something on that western property line with that design of the full revetment.
Okay,
And maybe pulling back the toe or something, just because the salt marsh is right there, but that's a 2019, so we're not even sure if that's what the salt marsh is right now.
Okay, might I suggest that if Phase 2 was to be implemented, we have to come back before the commission,
Okay,
but at least have it in our back pocket just in case.
okay. And also, you have a rack that's down sort of in the marsh. I think it's a paddleboard rack. Anyway,
Oh, it is?
it sticks out into the marsh. And
No, we have stairs.
so I'm
There's a rack
asked,
attached to the stairs.
that's, there, you've gone right where I was going,
okay.
is can we attach it to the side of the stairs, the landing, whatever, because it's out into it, and from what I understand, people have to walk around it, and from what I see,
Yeah, Janice complained about that for years, so we understand. But
you know who I'm getting this note from.
what I don't understand is,
She walks that all the time.
yeah, I know she does, yeah. But I don't understand what the proposal is to remedy that.
Well, I think to attach it on the side of the landing or stairs so it's not sticking out into the marsh, that it's off. We often ask for this. We ask for it to be placed onto the side of a stairway, a landing.
Like this side somewhere. Not
So-
now, it's this way.
Okay. Okay, we'll be happy to discuss that with our clients.
Great.
I don't think it needs any further help from you, since there wouldn't be any excavation.
No, it will be a big improvement. So I appreciate that. So we do have a couple things we need, which is the edge of the salt marsh updated, but that's for Phase 2, right?
Right.
Okay. And how it would be keyed into the west, that would be Phase 2. Are you absolutely have to have the 1.5 to 1?
No.
You can
We'll
do
do
2?
2 is fine.
Whatever you are
Okay.
recommending, whatever Catherine's recommending is
Yeah.
acceptable to us.
Yeah, that's what I
Just-
think we'd prefer.
Yeah, just create the order that way, and we'll be happy to accept it.
And then, of course, you're going to, if you do have to go down on the beach, you would come back and inform us.
Right.
Anybody, anything else? Bob, anything?
Yeah, I have something. On the east end, after you repair that return, after you add to it, what happens then? I mean, that's still on their property, correct, where it's all eroding?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Where, in front of that deck, what's gonna happen there? Is it gonna keep eroding and eroding all the way back?
I don't know what the heck, I'm sorry.
On the
There's
exclusive,
a little bit of a deck there, too.
that's not on the property. I've talked with that homeowner, and he didn't want us doing, we had offered to extend the project onto his property. He didn't want us to do that. So, it would end there, and as time goes on, either one of them would deal with it. But Mother Nature being Mother Nature, I told him his property is probably going to continue to erode, and he was okay with that.
Okay, so that's,
Yeah, so you understand, this is a condominium, and the person who owns the other unit, the one further up further from the beach, has what we call an exclusive use area. So we can't enter that without his permission. And he's told us he doesn't want anything done there. And he's indicated to Mark, I wasn't part of the conversation, that if the erosion continues, he'll move his deck back, I guess.
okay, so the property line is this gray dash line, is that what the,
Right, it's not really a property line, it's the beginning of his exclusive use area. The
Okay.
property line is the solid red line.
yes?
The exclusive use line is in magenta.
Right.
The gray dash line is the work limit.
Okay,
It's up on the shelf.
okay, so
It
that,
dropped on the floor and jumped up on the shelf.
Oh, my gosh. Well, that was helpful.
Okay, that's a wrap then.
Anything else?
no, that's it, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. do you have anything else, Paul?
Nope.
All right. Gosh, got a lot go, yes, go ahead. Paul, I think.
Before and after pictures?
Yeah.
Sure. And the 25th is fine with us. I won't be here, but
How do you like March 11th? I mean,
Yeah, that's fine.
that's fine, too.
oh, thank
Even if
you.
they bid it today, it would be months before you get somebody out there, so
Yeah,
no problem.
perfect,
Yeah,
because.
we just want it done before the summer, that's all.
Okay, so we can go to an order on the 11th of March.
I move that we continue 55 Sears Point. Oh, one thing. I'm confused. Is it Sears Point Road or Sears Point Lane?
Sears Point Road. Don't ask me why, I just have it listed in the town.
Okay. Thank you. I move that we continue 55 Sears Point Road to the meeting on March 11th, 2026 for Phase 1.
Thank
Second.
you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, the next thing, Paul, please. I'm sorry, you want me to read?
Yeah, why don't you take this first one? Well, let me do it.
Okay.
I'll do it, Karen. Next on the agenda is request for certificate of compliance, excuse me, 70 Queen Anne Road, Queen Anne Chatham LLC, the owner, map 13E, parcel 14. You're going to have to finish it.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Parcel 14, SE 10-2305, reconstruct existing parking lot and install drainage. Work was never started. All right, so we can go to a motion. You're fine.
I move that we approve the certificate of compliance for 70 Queen Anne Road.
Second.
Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay, the next one, do you want me to do it? Yes, please. 67 Wilkie Way 67 Nominee Trust, map 17D, parcel F13, SE 10-3345. Additions to dwelling and landscape improvements, work was never started.
David Clark Engineering, you just reviewed the replacement project for this one. This project had a pool and a patio and had about 90 more square feet in the 5,100 than the project you just heard. So obviously it hasn't been started, so I think it's just an easy
Good. Thank you.
approval.
Okay. Paul?
I move that we approve the certificate of compliance for 67 Wilkie Way.
Second.
Bob?
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye. Want me to do it again?
This one. Oh, no, why don't you do it?
Okay.
The
Yep.
humidity, the humidity without it, just your throat gets dry. Sometimes you have these
Nope, that's fine.
coughing fits.
14 Main Street, Chatham Beach and Tennis Club, map 16B, parcel 73, SE 10-3075, deck addition and mitigation plantings. We also have map 16B, parcel 73, local only, CWP 10-2233N, shed installation. And we have SE 10-827, septic installation. All of those are for Main Street. Go ahead.
David Clark Engineering. The easiest one is the shed. Obviously, the shed's there. It's actually 10 square feet smaller than what was approved. That was under the local bylaw only. The next one is the septic system. The only portion of that was in your jurisdiction was the leach field that's underneath the Shell parking lot. Obviously, there's no vegetation to maintain, and a certificate of compliance was issued by the Board of Health, so we can all assume that it was at least constructed per the plan. And then the final one being the porch addition. I submitted pictures of that. There was a mitigation plan and mitigation required. I took pictures of the mitigation area. It's in the northeast corner, adjacent to the parking lot. It looks about as naturalized as it could possibly be. I walked past it a couple of times before I looked at the plan again and said, oh, that's the mitigation. So it's blended in with the rest of the vegetation on the bank quite well. That's all I have to say.
The only thing I have is, we ask ZBA for their comments, and the one that's the local only, she said, a final building inspection for this permit has not been requested. Please contact Community Development Department to schedule the final inspection so the permit can be closed out. Once the inspection is complete, I will have no concerns regarding the issuance of the certificate of compliance. So I'm thinking, and maybe I think Paul chime in if it's different, that we could vote to approve it and then hold that one until we hear that they've, is that possible?
I guess so, yeah. Yeah, it's funny, they want to close out a building permit for a shed, but,
I know, but they do.
yeah,
So that's their comment.
open files, it's, everybody hates them.
Anybody have any comments about any of these?
No, that's a good idea, just, yeah.
Okay. Paul, anything that
No.
we need to?
No, I'm good.
Okay, then I think we can put them all, we'll do the two, and then we'll do that shed, the local.
I move that we approve the certificates of compliance for 14 Main Street, the deck addition, and the septic installation. And I also move that we approve the certificate of compliance for 14 Main Street for the shed, contingent on the shed permit.
Second and third.
Okay, Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I say aye. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then there's the outstanding reissuance for SE 10740, which I mentioned during
Yeah, you
previous.
mentioned it. It wasn't on the agenda, but do we
It
have to
is,
do a motion, or can you just
No,
reissue?
Crystal can just, I told her she can just reissue it. It was lost, right? I can't find
It was-
it.
Right, but Bradford had comments on it, and I just want to make sure he's
Right.
satisfied
Well,
with.
he's on, I sent them out, there's a walkway on it that basically wasn't, it was supposed to be raised and elevated, if I'm speaking about the right one.
Yeah,
It was constructed out of CCA way back, now it's plastic and it's kind of laying on the sand. So we can either hold off on that, or Bradford, are you there?
Says he is.
Yes, he is.
I am. I mainly wanted to note the changes from what was originally permitted to now. I think the biggest thing would be if we could add a note to remove that during the winter and have it be seasonal again. I think that would be the biggest benefit to the environment.
Seasonal.
yeah, it's certainly an at-grade boardwalk is easier to remove in the off-season then. And I think why they proposed an elevated walkway originally was 1989 was 2 years after the break, am I right, Eric?
Yeah, that
And
was,
so the waves were crashing pretty darn close to the tennis courts at that time. So I think that what they were thinking was waves to go under this during the summer months. So now the beach, the open water is 200 feet away.
so so you really don't need a raised walkway.
No, not at all.
Okay.
All right.
Did we do our vote? I don't remember. Let's do it. Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I say aye.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, I'm kind of losing it. Okay, and the next thing on the agenda, I
Thank you,
believe, is 97 Tulipy Run.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, this is discussion for 97 Tilbury Run. We did receive the reports from Brian McCormick and Catherine Ricks on the ongoing violation for the patio, and I know you wanted to discuss this with the commission, so we put it on the agenda.
So this is just kind of catch you guys up to date, and we do have these two reports that we got from Brian at Woods Hole, and then Catherine, who I think previously I've told you, we've had some meetings with with the property owner and his representatives, and we all went out together to have everybody look at it and asked them for their reports, and they were due in January, and we now have them both. They've been provided to the representatives and the property owner. And we have requested a meeting, that they schedule a meeting with us, being the representatives, not a full-on, to see where we stand in February, because we don't want this sitting any longer. After this meeting, probably tomorrow, the two reports will be sent to you all, or else I think they might be on Teams, and if I can find them on Teams, I'll just send a little thing that says, here's where you find them. If not, we'll send them to you and get them onto Teams. So, I mean, they both pretty much agreed on what, solutions there were. So the next step will be seeing how the representatives and the owner react to the recommendations, and see if we can get them to come before us with a plan, whatever of the recommendations they choose to do. They are a violation. We never issued it because they were working with us, or at least sort of. So we will have to figure something out if we can't come to a solution. But I don't know what will happen at this point. So that's the update. Paul, do you want to add anything, or Paul?
No, I think you covered everything. Once they have a chance to read the reports, then you can have a more robust discussion about what the solution might be. And, I don't think we're looking at, probably shouldn't talk about a solution until we
No.
get to that.
The solutions that were given weren't major.
Right.
So hopefully something will be agreed to. I mean, I think that they were incredibly doable, all of them. But you'll see what the letters say and the reports, and can make your own decisions. And then, of course, we'll all be able to ask questions and everything once we get to that point. But I didn't feel you all needed to be a part of all of these meetings. So that's why I give you the updates. Any questions at this point? Okay. Then I did see that there were minutes from last meeting, but that's not on the agenda.
I have minutes to be approved for January 14th.
Yeah, I didn't see it on the agenda, but we can have that.
Well, it's on this.
Oh, it is? Maybe
yeah.
I missed it.
Crystal had revised this a couple of times because of the continuance dates and things like that, so she might have added that on there.
Oh, okay.
But you don't have the minutes, is what you're saying?
No, the minutes are out there.
Oh,
I
all
didn't
right.
see it on the agenda.
Okay.
It's not on the agenda.
Uh,
Can we still approve them?
The one that's posted, let's see, let me see here.
It
If I
is on the
may.
agenda online on
Yeah.
My Town Government.
Oh, it's just not on our agenda on Teams. So we're okay. We can still have a motion?
It should be.
I agree.
I didn't see it,
Yeah.
but
If
that's
it's on my
not
town
saying
government, yeah,
anything.
it's fine. Got posted,
As long as it's on my town.
yep.
So if we could have does anybody have any modifications to the minutes?
Oh, you threw Bob a loop there. See, he wasn't able to look it over.
Well, they're there.
I move that we approve the minutes from the meeting of January 14th.
Second.
Okay, Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and I say aye. I did read them over. So we need one more motion, please.
I move that we adjourn the hearing.
Second.
Okay, Bob,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I say aye. Okay.